Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, I have to ask about installing for guest additions.
yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I've tried like 3 to 4 times in different ways, but I'm unable to install that in Ubuntu.
I will probably create a video today and I will send it to you guys.
Okay, sir, thank you.
It looks like WebEx is having some issues today as well.
Sir, whenever participants keep joining that, this beep sound comes in.
No, that is right. I mean, I keep hearing robotic voices. Your voice, like, it becomes robotic.
Okay, sir.
Uh, is my voice clear to you?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, okay. Then maybe it could be at your end, something like that. Okay.
Sir, can we fill the attendance form, sir?
Sir,
The attendance form is enabled or not?
broadband went away. I'll just rejoin. Who is the shepherd today? Do we have any? Do we have any shepherds?
Sir, I am one of them.
There's
So
there's
I'll
there's one.
be the second.
Yeah, yeah. So here's your job. Okay, today I'll be back in 5 minutes. Pick four more shepherds. It's you are the boss today. Pick four more shepherds randomly. I'll
Four
just
more.
rejoin. Yeah. Uh, Okay, open your batch. It could be volunteer. And I need 5 people. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to manage my internet connection. Right now I've joined with my mobile phone. Uh, pick uh, pick four more people, and I will be back in 5 minutes. It's your task. I need five
Okay,
names
sir.
at the end. Okay.
Okay, sir. Who is okay to be shepherd for today? Can you just
Me,
comment?
I'm one of the shepherds. Angmo.
Who? Huh. And then
Angmo,
second
yeah.
one, I'll be one, and second one will be you, and then
Yep.
again, who wants to be? Suraj Rao, you raised hand. So you want to be shepherd for today? Tia, are you okay to be shepherd for today?
I don't think I can speak
Hello.
well today as I am suffering from cold.
Oh, okay, no problem. Uh, Harmeet Chawla, are you okay to be shepherd for today?
Uh, no, because I haven't attended yesterday's class.
Okay. Next, Aditya. Aditya
Hello.
Agrawal.
Hello.
हाँ.
Hmm. You called my name.
हाँ, Aditya. So are
Hmm.
you okay to be shepherd for today?
Okay.
Okay. So you will be third shepherd. And again,
What about Tejas? Do you want to be a shepherd?
हाँ, Tejas.
Okay, I don't really have any problem with being a shepherd, but my connection is really bad today. Maybe next week.
Okay.
I'll taking. I'm picking
What about
people, but they are not ready to do so.
okay. What
What
about
can I do?
Yashvardhan?
हाँ, Yashvardhan, are you okay with it?
No, not today.
Oh God.
I don't have any reason.
Khush, Wasnik. I'm taking names from chat. Khush, Wasnik, are you
Yeah,
okay to be shepherd?
okay. Let me. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I could
Okay,
not
you will
connect
be.
my laptop. So I'm sorry. I have to join from my mobile phone. I won't be able to share the screen today. Um, does anyone have those questions? I sent it to someone on email yesterday.
Yes, sir. That was me. I have the questions.
Yeah. So can you just share your screen? And we'll start.
Yeah, sure, sir. Just a minute. So can't I just post the questions in the
Sir,
chat box or something?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Attendance. Yeah. I will enable it. I'm sorry. Yeah. My laptop just a minute. Uh, I will enable the attendance. You can start.
So we got 4 shepherds and one is still remaining.
Uh, okay, let me just check. Who are the 4?
Myself, Sanskruti Sahu, and then second one will be
Angmo.
Angmo, and
Mm-hmm.
third is Aditya, and
Mm-hmm.
fourth one will be Yashvardhan.
Okay,
No, sorry, Khush Wasnik.
okay. Aayush Kulkarni, are you there?
Ayush,
Yes, sir.
surname.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, Ayush,
Okay.
not Aditya.
Yeah, Ayush, you are the 5th shepherd.
Okay, fine, sir.
Okay. So let's start, guys. I'll enable the attendance.
So I can start the thing. So we have to first discuss the difference between a kernel and a shell. So to understand this properly, let's take a look into the definitions first. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. I can hear you.
Yep, okay. So a kernel is a core of every Linux operating system. It contains a program that manages various hardware components. So that's a little something about kernel. Let's come to shell. A shell provides you with the interface to the Linux, basically an interface between us and the hardware. Just to clarify, I want to add that an interface in a computer is a shared boundary across 2 or more separate components of the computer in exchange of information and data. So in a nutshell, when we give a command, shell acts as an interface and takes that command to the kernel. The kernel handles the interaction between with the hardware. So the difference between a shell and a kernel is that shell is an interface between a kernel and a user, and the core of the system that controls the task is the kernel. Any doubts?
In simple language, we can also say that kernel has one limitation, that it only understands the binary language. But being a user, we can't provide it with binary language. So for this, we need someone who could talk to kernel instead behalf of us. So a program that is shell is used as an intermediate between kernel and the user who could talk in behalf of us.
Yeah, basically, a shell is an interpreter. Yes, Mohit, Bash is a type of shell program.
Has various types divided, means depending upon the languages and different programs. So bash is one of its type, and which is commonly used. It is commonly used because we can run any program in any language from bash. So that's why it is most commonly used shell, means most commonly used form of a shell.
And Tia, I think you have been answered by Tejas in the chat, so you can just check out that answer. I think that's what the answer is. So if you guys don't have any more doubt, can we move on to the next question?
There is a question, that is the difference between terminal and a cell.
Yeah, that's the next question. Should we move on? Guys, can I move on?
Yes.
Yep.
Sanskruti, would you take the next question? The difference between
Yes,
a terminal and a shell?
yes, I'll do. Yes. So basically, as we discussed now, what is shell? So shell is a command interpreter, as Angmo told. So which act as intermediate between kernel and user. And if we talked about terminal, whereas terminal is a meta application, that is, it provide a space where we can access other applications that are installed on Linux. Means it is just like a command prompt in Windows. And in this, it uses one of the type of shell which is called bash to process this command.
And also, terminal is a program that runs a shell.
Terminal is a program that
Yes,
no,
that's
it do not
correct.
run.
No,
No, it
in
do
a
not
way,
run.
the thing is,
It
shell is a program which is used for controlling and running programs. And as I mentioned it before, it is used
it is used,
interactively. It is used
it is
interactively
used for
via a terminal.
processing. Yes.
Was that
So
correct? I'm
any
not sure
doubt about
myself.
this? Yes.
Okay, guys,
Yes,
sorry, I
that
am
is
back.
one of the type
Why
of
all the
shell.
threes are here? Sir, Sanskruti and Angmo are doing really well. So what are we supposed to do here?
Oh, you guys can just help us with the doubts.
Ah,
Because
you can
once
also
the doubts
answer,
actually start coming,
Aditya.
I am going to be clueless and lost.
You should let us speak as well, na?
Oh
You
yeah, please,
both
please,
girls are
Huh.
doing
please.
quick chat in your own terms.
Okay,
Very, very
my
good, very
bad.
good, very good. Keep fighting like this.
Aditya,
This is
please.
the best type of fighting I can see.
Okay, Aditya, please, you can take the question about man pages.
Yeah,
I have
Anand, I'm just
yeah.
doing that. I had to restart my
If
laptop.
you have any,
Go ahead, go
Aditya,
ahead.
if you
Sorry,
have any
sorry.
point in between, so you can also speak in between. Like you also want to put that point means about that, or Kush also can do that.
Yeah, I agree.
On
And
man pages.
Angmo, can you post
Yeah.
the questions that sir gave on the
Oh
chat,
yeah, sure,
and
sure.
everyone can
Yeah,
refer
There
it?
is a
yeah.
question there.
I'm on it.
Yes, Vansdeep Singh, is Bass a name of the cell? Yes, it is an example. You can say that.
Attendance enabled, guys. Okay, now go ahead.
Just a minute, you guys.
Aditya Vaishnavi has asked one question, so will you reply to it?
1 second, 1 second. I'm working on my phone. I'm just giving attendance. My laptop is
And I
getting
have
overheated.
yeah, and I've uploaded the questions in the chat. We have answered question number 6 and 7th. So we are left with the definition of man pages. If anybody else wants to take it, they can. Otherwise, I can continue.
Yes, man, pages.
Yes, Akshay.
As
Shall because everyone is busy with attendance. Yeah, I'll just answer it so that you can take it. You all can.
Sir,
No,
I can answer
shepherds,
for
please put your
that.
attendance. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, have you put your attendance? I'm sorry. Do that and then answer.
No,
By the time, yeah, okay, okay, fine. Just remember you have to put attendance. I'll keep it open till 1:30 today, so you can put it after the class as well. Go ahead. Sanskriti, you can answer the question.
yes, sir. So basically, shells are not the part of kernel. They are just one of the application that run over kernel. It is not a part of kernel.
Okay, let me give you an example, Akshay. Suppose I'm taking an interview of the French president, for example, or the Korean president, and I don't know the language, right? So here I am the human command. The Korean or the French president is the kernel, and the interpreter that will translate my questions for the president would be the shell. So it's not exactly the part of a kernel. Is that clear? That was a vague example.
No, that was a good example, I think. Uh, uh, okay, what else? Any other questions related to any of the previous questions that we have discussed till now?
Um,
Okay, meta application. Let me. Okay, so this was a question that I also got over email yesterday, and actually, to be fair, I'm sorry, I should not have used that term. Meta application is not not a standard term. Okay, so the word meta is often used in multiple contexts, but what it really means is um, So let us say what a meta human being is a human being that is beyond human beings. Yeah, that's a very poor analogy, but basically someone who has more power, someone who has more knowledge, someone who has higher visualization than the human beings will be probably a meta human being. So anyhow, so we use this term meta at a number of places in computer science. So for example, one place where we use this is known as metadata. Okay, so metadata is essentially data about data. Okay, so I'll give you a very simple example. Let us say you are we talked about this restaurant and menus and stuff like that, right? So now each and every restaurant will have a different menu, right? I mean, they will have different dishes on it, and so that basically is data, right? Data is menu. And now it is possible that there is a person who calls himself or herself as the menu expert. Okay, and what this menu expert tells you is that if you want to create a menu, uh, the first thing you should do is put up all the starters on page one. Second step is put up all the main course dishes. Third step is put all the drinks. Okay, fourth page is step as in his page. Fourth page is dessert, so on and so forth. So whatever he is currently or she is currently describing is kind of a meta model to create menus. Okay, so basically it is not the menu itself, it is kind of a meta menu. So it defines how to define menus. Okay, so when I used the term meta, that was basically what I was saying, that terminal is a meta application. Yeah, kind of a template, right? So a template is a kind of metadata. Okay, so it is not data in itself. It basically tells you how data is organized. So when I used that term meta application, what I really meant was the terminal itself is not really an application. What I mean, it is a meta application because it allows you to access shell. Okay, so it basically gives you a space where you run other applications. So it's kind of a space from which you can access other applications. So this is why I used the term meta application. I realized it was a confusing term. I should not have used it in the slides. So sorry about that. Dhruv, you have a question? Okay.
Rohan Agarwal, you asked me to wait. Somebody else talking. My bad.
So Dhruv, you had a question. Someone raised a hand. I think Dhruv.
By mistake, sir, by mistake.
Okay, fine, fine. So like, is it clear? Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So, is the details which are mentioned, like when was the file last modified or when was it created, are those data considered
Ah,
metadata?
yes, yes. That is metadata. Metadata is basically things like these. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, sorry, I should not have used that term meta application. That is not a standard term. So I was just trying to explain that terminal is an application which is used to run other applications, and that was what I meant by the term meta application. It is not a standard term, so please, forgive me for using that. The idea is that meta is a generic term used in computer science, and we use this term at many places. Metadata, meta model, a lot of things. Meta X basically. So which essentially means that it is not really X, it is something that is above X. Okay, something that defines X, something that gives you hint about X. So this meta X terminology is something that you will see at multiple places in computer science. So I just used that without actually knowing that it will be a difficult task for you to understand. So but that is the idea, that terminal is basically it doesn't do anything on its own. The only thing it does is that it gives you access to shell. Okay, it creates one or more instances of your shell application. So that is what I was trying to say. Yeah, please explain terminal one more. Someone can do that from the shepherds.
Yeah, I can. So as Rohan, as sir
Give
said.
chance to other three shepherds also
Oh yeah, sure.
to
Okay.
explain it.
Yep.
So other three shepherds, you can also you should take a charge. for further questions. Hello.
I can actually explain man pages, so someone else can explain the terminal. Hello.
Yeah, who are the other two shepherds? Are do you guys want to take the terminal?
Actually, I have taken man
Respond.
pages before, so maybe
So two
another
of
one.
you took man pages.
Yeah.
So we can all collectively talk about man pages, but somebody can address the terminals for now. Okay, never mind.
Okay,
I can just go with
Angmo,
that.
you carry out.
Yeah. So as sir said, terminal, you can use it to access other applications installed on your Linux installation. And you see, as I told you guys before, a shell can be used interactively because and through a terminal. I don't know how else I can explain it. It's just a device. It's a kind of a device file which implements a number of commands beyond read and write. Like Sanskruti, do you want to help me here?
Yes, means like in Windows we have command prompt. So by that we can access to different applications. So just like that in Linux, terminal is used. It provides a space where we can give command to access other applications that are already installed on Linux. And uh, and for this, bash is used, which is one type of shell to process this command, which we type over there.
Priya, kernels is again just the core of your operating system. It interacts with the hardware. That's it. There's nothing much about there might be much about it, but then that's all I know about it. So, okay, embarrassing.
Okay, so I think there is some confusion that is still there about terminal and shell. So let me try to explain it to you. Terminal is a GUI application. Okay, it is not an application that runs on a server version, for example. It is something that comes with your desktop distribution. But let me give you the reason why we have terminals. If you install a server version, when you boot your machine, what do you see? You see a black screen, okay? A black screen where you can type your commands. And this is basically the shell, okay? So as I said, kernel is the component of an operating system that talks to the hardware. And how do you talk to the kernel? One way to do that is using a shell. So essentially, the bare minimum that any operating system needs for it to be usable by a user is that there is a kernel, and over the kernel there is a shell. Now shell can be of multiple types. Okay, there are at least three that I know. One is bash, one is zsh, z shell, and one is csh, c shell. You can pick either of these three, and it's okay, Angmo. So you guys are doing a very good job, by the way. So you can pick any of these three shells, and you can put it over the kernel, and then you can directly communicate with the kernel. Okay, so this is one way. Now another way to do the same thing is just have the kernel, but instead of shells, you start building applications, different types of application. I'll tell you the difference. I mean, not it's not that important, but I'll just talk about differences in a minute. Let me first explain what is the difference between terminal and shell. So the bare minimum any operating system needs is kernel plus one shell. Okay, you can have multiple shells also installed on the same operating system, but at least one shell you require, bash or zsh or csh. This is the core, this is the bare minimum that you require for an operating system to be operational. Now the server versions of server distributions that you guys have been installing, it is this distribution, it is the bare minimum required in order to talk to the kernel. Now another way to talk to these kernels is that instead of creating a shell, I create a window application, and that window application that talks to the kernel directly, or again, different permutations are possible. GUI, right? So the other way to do this is that you create a GUI, and your window applications can either, because the language of kernel is system calls. So anyone who knows system calls, they need not use a shell. Okay, you can create your own application that directly interacts with the kernel by making system calls. So now what happened was, a lot of people thought that this this way of interacting with kernel with commands only, that is too primitive. We have now devices like mouse, for example. So if you are using a shell, mouse is useless. So then people thought, okay, why don't we build applications which can talk to kernel directly, and which doesn't require you to type commands. So for example, instead of saying cat abcd.txt, why can't I create a menu in which there is an option to click on file and click new, okay, and then type my command in a nice place where I can move the cursor here and there, and then say save. Okay, it is exactly the same thing. Cat will do exactly the same thing. Probably the same set of uh, system calls will be required to save the file. But you said instead of using cat, I'll create a window application using some graphical user interfaces, with the help of which you can do the same task using a GUI. So now this is where the desktops started. That this people started creating a set of applications that can talk directly to the kernel. It is probably not accurate. Sometimes these what these applications do is that they probably could invoke a command from the shell domain, and then this communication could be direct or transitive. But the idea is that you can create another application that somehow talks to the kernel and without the shell getting involved. So this is how the desktop environment started to come out, that let us build a set of applications where you do not have to type those commands, but we will create new applications. Now people thought that, does this mean that it is the end of shell? Does it mean that we don't need shell at all? And this is where people thought, okay, why don't we have one window application which simply opens up an instance of shell, okay, where you can still type your commands in the old fashion. This was a very nice history that was told in the previous session. So Pranav actually pulled out the whole history of how all these things started, and this was a very nice talk that he gave. So I thought I will also share it with you. So this is the history, that essentially when desktop environments started, the idea was to replace the shell, that we don't need the shell anymore because we have these GUI applications. But then people realize that actually shell is far more powerful than just giving ls and cat. Okay, grep command, for example, you probably don't know how powerful grep command is. The sed command, it's very difficult to do some of the things that you do in sed in a typical text editor, right? So people realized that the shell world, because there were so many applications that were developed for use over shell, um, we people just did not want to give up that part of development. So they said, okay, let us have a GUI application called terminal that basically gives you the same interface as, let us say, on a server distribution. So then they decided to come up with this application called terminal, and terminal is essentially an emulation of your server interface. Okay, is that now clearer? So basically a terminal is nothing more than a place where a shell runs. If you did not have a desktop environment, this is the default interface you would have had. But now, because you have a desktop environment, you have so many things on the desktop. You have a word processor, you have a web browser, you have a file explorer. Terminal is just one more GUI application, but that gives you the kind of ancient feel, how you would have managed your system without desktops. So is it clear now, guys?
Sir,
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
yesterday you have just given a extension sudo apt install build essentials. Sir, what is the main function of that, sir?
Okay, so kernel, we all realized what kernel is, right? Kernel is meant to talk to the hardware, and it provides you a set of it has its own language, and we call it the set of system calls. And then we start building applications over it. Now the issue is the set of applications that are developed in the Linux world. They are probably in millions, okay, not even thousands. They are probably in millions, and all these applications are having some interdependencies. So, for example, it is possible that if you want to run application X, application Y, and application Z, it uses application Y and application Z. Okay, so if you want to install X, unless you have application Y and application Z already installed, application X won't work. Okay, so who is going to manage all this, right? How will I figure out if a particular application that I want, what are its dependencies, what are the things I need in order to use it? So these operating systems also come up with a very important feature called a package manager. Okay, so it is another application. Package manager is another application, but again it is kind of a meta application. Its job is to keep track. Aditya, can you just mute yourself? Um, so.
I am
Uh,
on mute.
so so its job, Aditya Gupta, yeah, sorry. So its job is to keep track of what are the current set of applications available for this particular distribution. Okay, apt is the default package manager for Ubuntu. So apt has a knowledge of what are the different applications currently out there for this version of Ubuntu, what are their dependencies. So if you tell apt I want to use application X, apt will figure out, okay, Y and Z are its dependencies. So first it will install Y and Z, then it will install X for you, so on and so forth. Okay, so that apt command that you just saw, that is a package manager. We use it to install other applications on Ubuntu. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. So much after that, sir, we can install desktop version,
You can anyhow install desktop version. So even with the server version, you get apt. Okay, and with server, all you have to do is I think you will have to type something like sudo apt install lxde. If you so this is for those guys who are already having a server installation. If you want to convert your server installation into a desktop installation, this is the command. I'll just type it: sudo apt install lxde. So this will basically change your server installation into an L Ubuntu installation. Okay, and this is the best part about Linux. There is so much of customizability, and it's not just at the time of no, it doesn't require connection as a internet connection all the time. It's simple. So basically server version is, I'm not sure how many of you have seen it. There used to be something known as MS DOS. Okay, whatever you see in the command prompt of Windows, that is essentially the way of accessing your computer using the MS DOS way. Okay, so DOS was just a command based system. You used to give commands on DOS and operate your system. So shell is the equivalent of MS DOS in Linux world, and terminal is the equivalent of command prompt in the Linux world. Okay, you do not need a internet connection in order to use command prompt. Similarly, you do not need internet connection to access server machine or shell or terminal. Okay. Sorry, Shepherds, you were doing such a great job, but I have infiltrated in your realm. So please take it back from me and start speaking.
Sir, I wanted to ask one thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Yashwardhan. Let the Shepherds answer. If they are not able to, then I will answer.
Sir, I wanted to ask that if all we need from installing Ubuntu or any other Linux distribution, then can't we just go ahead with Windows subsystem for Linux?
So this is a query that I received today. It was not for WSL. It was actually for Mac. That some students have sent an email to me saying that, sir, we already have Mac, and Mac has that terminal application where we can run Bash. So do we really need to install Linux? The answer that I gave to them is also applicable to WSL. First of all, I'm not well aware of WSL. So what exactly are the features of WSL? I don't know. But one of the better things that Linux provides you is things like apt or yum. Okay, so these package managers are the actual powerful aspect of Linux. Okay, see, getting a plain operating system that can run a web browser is very simple. Okay, there are so many operating systems. What makes Linux such powerful an ecosystem is the power of all the applications that you get with it. Okay, and these package managers like apt or yum, they are very important to the Linux ecosystem. So if WSL has something like apt or yum, then I have no problems. It is probably good.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead, Yash.
yeah, yes, sir. It has all the same commands as we type in Ubuntu's terminal.
Does
We
it have
can type
apt?
the same.
Can you try if it is have apt or yum? It should probably have either of
I
these two.
can try. Wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah, apt and yum are basically package managers, Tia. Whatever I told you, right? That let someone needs to know that if you want to use application X, it requires application Y and Z as dependencies. So these are the basic things that. Okay, so Himanshu has said that apt works on WSN.
Yes, sir. It works.
Yeah, so if it works, then it is good enough. I that is why I said, I have very little idea about Windows. If it needs to have at least one package manager. This is the problem, by the way, with Mac. On Mac, the terminal is there, but they don't have a package manager. Okay, there is a package manager called Homebrew on Mac, but that is nowhere close to apt or yum. Yeah, Khush, we are going to just start with man pages. It won't take much longer. So this is the point, Yash, that as long as you have terminal or basically some kind of shell plus a good package manager, if you can get these two things, then I don't have a problem. You can simply use your WSL or whatever option it is. But package manager is important.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Go
Thank you,
ahead.
sir.
Sir, when we type sudo apt install, sir, at that moment of time, internet connection is required, no?
Yeah, at that moment it is required, because at that time your package manager will connect to the internet. It will bring that package for you. Okay, you don't so it is like this. Your package manager has a local list of the current set of packages that are available, the current set of applications that are available. So there is a command called sudo apt update. Okay, when you say sudo apt update, what it does is it basically refreshes that list of applications and dependencies so that now it is current. Okay, so if there is a new application that was added probably in the last couple of days, sudo apt update will basically fetch it for you. But when you want to do an install, sudo apt install, at that time you need internet connection, because it brings, so all these Linux distributions, they have repositories, they have places where the applications are stored. Okay, the programs are stored. Okay, and when you do sudo apt install, it connects to one of those repositories. If you want to check what is it, just type mirror. Okay, mirror over Linux mirrors on Google, and read what are Linux mirrors. mirrors, mirrors. Okay, so what the Linux word does is that at multiple locations around the world, they maintain the copies of these applications. And what apt does is that it figures out this actually it does at the time of installation itself. At the time of installation, it figures out what is your location, and with the help of that, it can bring that copy of application from internet, with the help of internet. So at that time you do need internet. No, yes, PowerShell is a different thing. It is not the same as Bash. You can probably, so if you plan to work in the Windows domain, okay, so there are developers who, for example, work in the .NET framework. So if you plan to work in the .NET framework, then yes, PowerShell is the thing that you need. But if you want to stay in the Linux world, then PowerShell is not the same as Shell. Okay, any other queries, or we'll talk about the last question about man pages? Sorry, please take over, Shepherds.
Okay, so let's begin with the man pages. So basically, when we talk about the man pages, it's like a piece of documentation which is distributed and read digitally. Almost in every Linux-based OS, we include a type of a man page. These documents cover the topics like programs, command line tools, system calls, and even some abstract sets. So I do think that means if you let's take an illustration. When you buy some a new tool or some piece of equipment or a hardware device, in the box you may find some user manual for it. So what's the manual covering? The manual covers some devices, safety procedures, and some troubleshooting tips. So these manual books are invaluable knowledge tool will when learning to use new equipment. So what about the computers? So in the computers on Unix based OS, when you need to read about the software, you pull up a man page. So man page is really the short form for the manual pages.
Yes, that's correct. And I just wanted to add this that the typical man page consists of a synopsis, description, and examples of commands. So where the synopsis tells us the structure of the command, the description describes what the command does, and example shows ways in which you can use those commands. That's it.
Yeah, man pages is not that big a deal, but if anyone has any queries, please ask.
Man pages are basically manuals, so I don't think there should be any doubts regarding this anyway.
Okay, so we have about, I think we have run out of, no. Today we have to go up to 1:15, so we have time. Any more queries about anything in this week? By the way, you guys are running ahead of the other, as compared to the other batch. So they were not able to complete all the questions, but you guys have. So, uh, I'm not sure. You guys should congratulate yourself for that, and you should thank your shepherds. And and so, any other queries about whatever we have learned this week?
Sir, what about lab? Today it's
Uh,
scheduled.
yeah. So it is scheduled today. We will meet in the lab. The lab is not compulsory. Today, what I'll do is I'll just talk to you guys about the model of lab. So how will we have labs from the next week? I'll give you a 5 slide or 4 slide presentation, and all the TAs will be there as well. So you can talk to the TAs. You can interact with the TAs. They will come and introduce themselves, and but we will start having our labs from the next week. But today's lab, as I said, is
So today's lab will be recorded, no, sir?
I think it gets recorded in my account anyhow. I mean, by default, it gets recorded. I'm not sure. I didn't check because I was not planning to put it recording. I think it does get recorded. I will record it anyhow.
Sir, can you send us, sir? Because I will be going out.
Sure. It's not that big a deal actually, Aditya. I mean, what I can do is I can send you that 4 or 5 slides presentation, and you can read the presentation. It's like, there's nothing much. There is a model that we will use in the labs, and I will just talk.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, TAs are M.Tech students, Tejas. Send. Yeah, I will send you a link. I will create a meeting before 3 p.m. and that will be sent to your emails. I'm not sure. Any other queries, guys?
Sir, Mukul had a question. He wanted a few other examples of shells. So I have a list of it. I can just tell him about that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So,
Mukul also has another
yeah.
question, so please answer that first. And
Yep. So, Mukul, apart from Bash, we also have Bash is arguably the most commonly used shell. The other shell in no particular order includes Bond shell, C shell, Dash, KSH, and nowadays increasingly popular Z shell. That's it. And I don't know what a GRUB bootloader is, sir. Can you please take it from here?
Okay, there are some more questions. Difference between man and help command. Is there a help command also? I have never. I have only used man. Uh, I don't know. Is there a help command? Has anyone used something like this?
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
so
sir.
yeah, okay, because there are so many applications, there is it is actually possible that there is an application called help. Okay, so that is why you have to you have to be clear. It is possible that there is some application called help. That is why I said I don't know. But yeah, man is basically, yeah, it is exactly help. Um, so anyhow, so yeah, there were some questions. Let me just apt and yum. No, Tia, yum is available in these in the other distribution family. So if you use RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or if you use CentOS, yum is available there. Okay, so it is a different distribution family. Apt is the package manager, default package manager for the Ubuntu and Debian family. So if you are using Debian, Ubuntu, Mint, then you will use apt. If you are using RHEL, CentOS, um, there's one more I
Sir,
forgot.
they have same function
Function is the same. Function is the same.
and they are by default in the Ubuntu only.
Yeah. They are.
And app.
Yeah, apt is default. When you install Ubuntu, apt will be there along with it.
Okay, sir.
Let me just scroll down. Yeah, Mukul, I will talk about grub just a minute. Yeah, I'm not sure if there is a full form of apt or not. Maybe it is. I don't know. Help centers, help. Yeah, apt and yum are commands, and they are basically package management commands. Uh, Vim is not a type of terminal. Vim is an application. Okay, similar to cat, ls, all these things. Vim is yet another application, but it is an editor. It can be used to edit files, and Vim is a very powerful editor. Another thing, right? So I keep going back to these things, that the reason people still have shells is because number one, you on a server machine where there is really no GUI environment, you will have to do everything using shell. So it is nice to learn it. And then the other thing is, there are so many things that you can do with these shell programs, like vim and cat and grep and find and set. So that is why we use. So vim is an editor. Okay, it is an application which runs over the shell. Yeah, so advanced package tool, good. So apt has a full form. Thank you. I also learned something. Um, Terminal has a, yeah, terminal is, so terminal basically just loads a shell actually, Aditya, and the shell is basically the command like interface. Yeah, nano is fine. Nano is fine, Abhishek. I know my favorite is Vim, but that doesn't mean everyone should use Vim. Yes. We'll start with C. Learn other commands of bash by ourselves. Yes, so this is what I have to tell you, that basically the first 2 weeks of this uh, sed, don't worry about it, sed, right? Aman, I mean, sed is a very advanced shell command. It is maybe it will, it was probably bad on my part to put it in that in that presentation. Sed is a very advanced command. You need to know a lot of things before you can actually understand what sed does. So for now, just ignore sed. Okay, practice the other simpler commands first, and then we'll come to sed. um, but yes, I have sent a link right yesterday on email about the bash. Please read more, because you have to understand, bash is something that, whatever basics are there, that I have already told you, but those basics are not enough. You have to start practicing. So essentially the way to do this is, you start doing your day-to-day tasks using bash. Okay, so you say, I want to to create a new file, let us use bash. I want to open VLC player. Let us say you are on some desktop version of Linux. Don't start VLC from the menu. Okay, figure out how to start VLC from terminal. Okay, figure out how to start your browser from terminal. If you want to search for a file, figure out how to search for that file from terminal. So try to practice bash by doing your regular stuff in bash. Okay, and then you will understand what it means. Okay. War game, what takes, so Ayush has some interesting suggestion. I'm not sure. Vim Prabhav is a text editor, similar to Word, MS Word or Notepad. Notepad probably, not MS Word. So Vim is a plain text editor, but that works over shell. Uh, if you guys have any more queries, otherwise I have one query from Mukul about Grub. If you have any more queries, because Grub is kind of an advanced query, let first finish off the primary ones. Any other queries, guys? Okay, I assume. So, would any of the shepherds like to talk about Grub? No one.
So I got no
Actually,
sense.
about it.
Sorry,
I also have a doubt about it.
then okay. So shall I talk about it, or would anyone else want to talk?
Yes, so you
Okay.
explain.
Okay. So so this is what it is. Okay. We discussed that when bias runs, at the end of your bias, it has to load a small program. Okay. This small program is responsible then to start a chain reaction which will ultimately end at your whole operating system getting loaded, right? Now different operating systems have different ways of booting. Aman, do you have a query?
No, sir, by mistake.
Okay, fine, sorry. Yeah, so basically different operating systems have different ways to, and so the chain, the actual chain that I talk about, in the chain reaction, the actual chain will be different for different operating systems. So it will be, for example, be different for Windows. I don't know exactly what is that chain, but in Linux, when you have to boot your Linux system, there is a unified way of doing that. Okay, so because you guys told me the full form of apt, I have just googled, is there a full form for grub, and it is called GNU, grand unified bootloader. Okay, I just googled it right now. So there is a full form for grub as well. I never actually thought about uh, googling these things, but thank you. So anyhow, so basically as its name suggests, it is a boot loader. Okay, so what exactly is a boot loader? So bootloader is that small program, okay, that I was talking about, that at the end of your bias, bias what so what are the steps that bias performs? It at the end of bias, it needs a bootable device, and a bootable device is a device which has a bootable sector. Okay, so this is what we have known till now. And what exactly is a bootable sector? A bootable sector is basically a special the first location of your disk which stores a special program. Okay, that special program is the bootloader. Okay, it is the responsibility of that special program to start a chain reaction, a reaction with the help of which your whole operating system gets loaded. Now what exactly will that program do? Let us try to understand. So for example, if I'm trying to load my Linux kernel, there are some processes that are required. So there is a process called init, for example. So init is the first process that is created when when you run, when your operating system starts uh, creating an interface, right? So kernel is the lower part of my operating system. and then there is an upper part of the operating system, right? Something that is running above. It could be shell, it could be your GUI applications, whatever that is up, right? So init is that process, the first process that gets created, and all the other processes that are created in the user space. When you create a new process, there is a process hierarchy, there is a tree, right? So this chain reaction thing, so it's like this. When I open a terminal, shell itself is a process, it is running as a process, and when you type cat, it is this shell process that spawns, that creates another process. So this is a common thing in operating systems, that your operating system has a set of processes, and using those processes you create more processes. So when I open Microsoft Word, um, a new process has started. It was started by some other process. What that process is, um, the process which basically took my input. I would have clicked on start, I would have gone to Microsoft Office, I would have clicked on Microsoft Word. So there is a process that is catching all my inputs, and when this process realized that I have clicked Microsoft Word, it starts a new process. So anyhow, so this is how process hierarchy works, that one process starts another process, that process starts another process. So there has to be like some process which is the beginning, right, from where everything starts. So it is the responsibility of this so-called bootloader to load, to load that first program. um, I mean, essentially it is the first program that is loaded by bias, but from there onwards, starting that chain reaction, that is the responsibility of your bootloader. So grub is one of the ways in which it is done, which is very common. There is at least one more, I have forgotten its name. It is actually not that common. uh, I'll probably have to Google the name. So there is one more, there is one more type of bootloader that is there. Grub is the most common. So some Linux environments have a different bootloader. I forgot its name. It's so uncommon that I have forgotten its name. But for now, just assume that grub is a bootloader. It is a small program, okay, which is stored at the first sector of your bootable disk. Okay, your bootable disk could be your hard drive. So let us say when I say I am installing Linux on my hard drive, what does it mean? It means that there are a set of there are some programs that I need to store on my hard drive, and there has to be a way in which these programs get loaded in the main memory when I switch on my computer. So that is why at the end of your Linux installation, you would have seen this dialog which says, shall I install grub, something like this. Okay. uh, uh, Essentially the problem with installing grub is, if you have some other operating system that was getting booted till now, that operating system will basically be forgotten, right? Because then there will be no way to load that operating system. That is why it is the responsibility of your grub to figure out if you have multiple. So the guys who are having dual boot, for example, if your grub is not properly installed, your Windows operating system will not be available to you. Okay, it is simply boot up your Linux. But if your grub is installed in such a way that it knows that there are two options, the user can either boot Windows, or it can either or you can boot Linux, then the grub will show you a small screen, a screen to pick which of the two operating systems you want to select, right? So this is the whole concept of grub. uh, is this hierarchy followed when we uh, I don't get this point. When we end processes, what do you mean? Like,
Sir, you said when we start processes, a hierarchy is followed.
Yes.
So when we close an application, does it happen too?
So you are saying that if I kill the parent process, do the children also get killed? Is it
No,
what?
no. If we kill the child process.
Then why would the parent be killed? Okay, the parent will not be killed if the child is killed. But if you kill the parent, its children will also die. Um, this is what usually happens, but in certain cases we can actually detach a child from its parent, and make it an orphan. It is an actual term, by the way, orphan. You can look it up on Google. So what are orphan processes? So basically, we can make the parent of a process as init, okay, the first process.
I mean, don't get involved into that much. These things are basically something that you will study when you study operating systems. So don't over complicate your learning as of now. But yes, so this hierarchy. So why VM needs grub using we will start Windows first. No, actually, Mukul, what happens is something like this. Your when you install your Linux, okay, it doesn't know if it is running on a virtual machine or on an actual machine. Okay, all it knows is that there is a disk over which you are installing your Linux. Okay, and then we'll start VM and no. So it's like this. So let me maybe I made it a bit more complex than I should have. So it's like this. What do you need in order to boot an operating system? You need a bootable device. Okay, device as in it could be a pen drive, it could be your hard drive, it could be a CD drive. Okay, and a bootable device, as I said, is a device whose first sector has a program that can somehow load the operating system. Now, let us assume that I want to install Linux either on a physical machine or on a virtual machine. In either case, there is a hard disk. Okay, either the hard disk is physical or it is emulated, it is simulated, okay, as it is done in virtual hardware. In either case, what you really need is you need this particular operating system to start when the machine is switched on, and that is what happens with grub. Okay, at the end of your installation, it asks you, shall I install grub or not? Okay, and if because basically the idea is something like this. It is possible that you already have a bootloader and you do not want to install a new one, and in whatever way, right? I mean, you'll manage. You can actually do these things after you boot into another operating system as well. So there are different ways you can actually change your grub once you have once you have started your OS. So for those guys who have lost their Windows to to during dual boot, it is not really lost. Your Windows is still there. What you really need to do is you need to go and modify grub, and that is a complex process, but you can do that. Yeah, grep and grub are different. Let me read your question again, Mukul. Sorry. My VM needs grub even using VM means we will start Windows first. So on bootloader and then. Mukul, can you unmute and simply ask this question? This chat is a bit confusing to me. I don't understand what it means. Okay. Yeah, guys. I'm sorry if is grub really no syllabus. Okay. Actually, no, you won't get any questions on grub. Angmo, don't worry. I mean, this was just like a extended discussion. I'm not going to ask you any queries related to grub in exams. So grub is not a command. Grub is basically a small program. Okay, and it is similar to the program that we saw in the first lecture, right? You saw that add load kind of programs. So just assume grub is at that level, that it has to go and sit on the first sector of your machine, of your disk, bootable disk. Okay, so uh, please, again, maybe it is my fault. I should not really have taken you guys so far apart in the Linux world. It is not really that you are supposed to know at this point of time. I just kept on going with the flow. But please don't get confused. Just come back now. In fact, all of you who haven't been able to install a virtual machine properly, just stop. Okay, it's okay. I think I have probably over complicated stuff for you unnecessarily. All you need for your app, your programming assignments from here on is that you have some kind of bash. Okay, so you need to have access to bash. Some of your batchmates have already given solutions. So if you do not have a Linux installation, use those solutions. From the next week onwards, we switch over to C. The next lab will be in bash because I want you guys to know how will we operate a lab. That is why the next lab will be in Bash. From the week after that, we will all switch over to C, and then Bash is something that you have to learn on your own. Okay, but as I said, if you keep on doing your stuff, if you keep on writing your programs, compiling your programs, running your programs in Bash, it is going to be an implicit effect that you will learn Bash as well. Okay, someday there will be a requirement. So you will say, how do I do this in Bash? And then you will go to Google, you will search for it, you will come to know about a new command. Okay, and then you will use it. So over a period of time, you should learn Bash. That is that. If you remember my first presentation, the primary objective of this course is to teach you programming. The secondary objective, it is a secondary objective, okay, is to introduce you to the Linux environment, because I have seen it is a problem with many students, those who are probably even who have probably even graduated, that they are very weak at that part. Okay, they don't know what is Bash, they don't know what is bootloader, they don't know how to operate on a server machine. So maybe I have overcomplicated it for you, sorry. The idea was just to dip you in that ocean. It's a huge ocean. I cannot give you the idea of the full ocean. You have to explore on your own, but I just wanted you guys to take a dip in that ocean first, and from here onwards we will talk about C. Okay. um, any other queries, guys? We have already overshot the time as usual. But any other queries?
Sir, the C language which we learn in Windows and the C language which we learn in Linux, sir, there is a difference between the two, sir.
Okay, so this is, I mean, I'm not sure how to answer this question. The issue is something like this. The basics of the C language are exactly the same. Okay, but uh, I don't know, and it's like this. Someone did ask me this question, that what if I keep on programming on C? Is it going to be I keep on programming on Windows? Is it going to be a problem? The only answer I had was something like this. Uh, C is inherently a platform dependent language. Okay, so it is not necessary that any two platforms that you pick, and the program on, if the program runs on one, it doesn't run on the other. No, that is not the case. um, the core part of C is basically the same, and I don't think I'm going to cover anything from the advanced parts anyhow. So if in the second semester I have made a course. I'm not sure whether I will be teaching it or I will be there or not, but I prepared the course for you guys for the second semester, object oriented programming in C++. In that course, what if I am there, if I'm not there, then I don't know, but if I am there, I will actually cover a lot of things which are basically core to the Linux environment only. So this is C programming in Linux. At that time, you'll have no other option but to switch to Linux. Okay. um, the yeah, C++, if I teach you, that will be only in Linux. Okay, there you won't have an option to go to Windows. But I think
Sir,
as of, yeah, go ahead.
sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, can I speak in Hindi?
Yeah, go ahead.
सर जैसे मैं पूछ रहा था कि जैसे हमने इंस्टॉल कर लिया उसके उसके कहने पे यस पे दबा दिया, तो सर उसके बाद वो ग्रब मेरी विंडोज पे क्या इफेक्ट डालेगा?
अगर आप अपने वर्चुअल मशीन में कर रहे हो तो कोई इफेक्ट नहीं डालेगा, ठीक है?
तो मीन्स ग्रब मतलब वर्चुअल मशीन में इंस्टॉल हो रहा है और वो उनको मतलब संभाल लेगा जो नई हम वर्चुअल मशीन्स उसमें डालते रहेंगे।
नहीं, वर्चुअल मशीन नहीं, सिर्फ उसी वर्चुअल मशीन के लिए होगा वो। अगर आपको उस एक वर्चुअल मशीन में, आपने एक 10 जीबी की हार्ड ड्राइव बनाई थी ना, जब आप वर्चुअल मशीन बना रहे थे, उसने आपसे पूछा होगा कि आपको हार्ड ड्राइव बनानी है क्या? और उसमें आपने एक स्पेस सेलेक्ट किया होगा, मुझे 10 जीबी की हार्ड ड्राइव बनानी है, या 15 जीबी की, या 20 जीबी की। आपने कुछ सेलेक्ट किया होगा। जब आप वीएम बनाते हो, तो आप बताते हो कि इस वीएम के साथ एक वर्चुअल हार्ड ड्राइव अटैच कर दो। और वो जो वर्चुअल हार्ड ड्राइव है, अगर आप चाहते हो कि उस वर्चुअल हार्ड ड्राइव पे भी 2 ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम रहें, तब फिर आपको देखना पड़ेगा कि मैं पहले विंडोज़ इंस्टॉल कर लेता हूँ, फिर बाद में ग्रब डालूँगा, तो ग्रब में मुझे बताना पड़ेगा कि विंडोज़ भी है, अगर आप एक वर्चुअल मशीन पे एक ही ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम चलाना चाहते हो तो आप बड़े आराम से यस पर क्लिक कर सकते हो और वो आपका 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 जो होस्ट ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है विंडोज उस पर कोई इफेक्ट नहीं आएगा।
थैंक यू सर।
Okay. So yes, if I am there in the second semester and the syllabus that I have prepared is used, then you have no other option but to switch to Linux. So if you can, it is my strong recommendation that you switch to Linux right now. Okay. Otherwise, because if I am there, if I am teaching you in the second semester, I won't give any foundation lectures then. Okay, we will run at full speed right from day one, so you will have no time to adjust to Linux. If you don't know it already, I am not going to cover it. Is it clear?
Sir, on Linux, sir, we can do programming only on terminal window, or we can do it on GUI, sir?
You can do it on GUIs, but at least not now. You should know how to do everything on terminal. Okay, so I don't have a problem if you use an IDE, but if I ask you at any point of time switch to terminal, you should know how to do it. If you know how to do it, you can use an IDE. But if I ask you randomly to switch to terminal, you should not say, sir, what command should I give? Is it clear?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, is bash a shell?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay. There were options that install Ubuntu server with or without kernel. There is no that you cannot install any operating system without kernel, Mukul. You might have misread that. Okay. Any other queries, guys? So for you guys, there will be a lab at 3 p.m. It is optional. The TAs will be there. I will give you like a 4 or 5 slide presentation to tell you how the labs will work from the next week. I will send you the presentation anyhow. So it's not really that big a deal. It's up to you whether you want to be there or not. But from next week onwards, it will be evaluated labs. They will be like exams. So then that will be, you will be required to be there. Any other queries or shall we break? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir, for letting us be shepherds. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you to the shepherds. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.